So Shweta, when both of us started our careers, right, that was the early noughts or the early noughties, right?
Yeah,
Um, and what the way we would appear to our current generation would be like fossils, no? The way we used to do marketing then was very different from the way we do marketing now, right? The take
yeah.
was very different. In fact, let me give you an anecdote. So one of the roles which I performed was that of the product manager of laptops, right? And during those days, we had launched a new product with really super massive storage. And you know how much storage we were speaking of? We were speaking of 40 GB storage. Okay. And we are talking of half a GB of RAM, right? Nothing beyond that.
Yeah.
And we used to really mention that, look, this is how much we are giving. This is how much we are providing. Um, how do you think, tech has changed from then and what it is now?
So before that, I think thank you, Techmasters, something very new. I've spoken to a lot of people in forums which are very running related. I must say that this is one of the few that have done, especially in marketing, that too about technology. And there is a lot to be said. And I always wanted to actually share the experience that I am having in marketing today versus what I had when I set off in my career. And Wipro, so to say, was my biggest launch pad to marketing, if I may say. As you rightly said, I mean there was no cloud and mobility and AI and these days we are being in my current office we are running this program on ChatGPT and finding out saying how do we leverage ChatGPT more innovatively as a company. And there we used to actually do print brochures,
Hmm.
print brochures for ODCs and Center of Excellence. And I remember my first job in Wipro was pre-sales for Wipro Infotech, where I used to do pricing and sizing for the managed
Wow.
services business.
Okay.
And you
Okay.
do
I
know
didn't
that
know
managed
this.
services. Yeah, so I had joined the Infotech business managing pre-sales before I moved into the marketing role. So that job was primarily meaning that you decide that whether you need to put one resource for the job or 1.5 resource for the job, which is a shared resource. So that is
Correct.
how technology used to be. In today's world, when I market, we typically talk about bots. We
Yeah.
typically talk about a lot of AI and ML. Everything starts and ends with that. So that's how far and wide we have gone. I'm not saying that we don't do. We are a erstwhile KPO organization, but I think the step that the organization is trying to take is saying that well people is necessary, but then people can be put to better use if you have technology with them. So you cannot do with people anymore, you cannot do with
Hmm.
only technology as well, so you need to have the perfect mix. So we call this thing in our company, which I really love, called digital with human touch. I
Hmm.
think so that's what has changed in our life, where in those times we would actually do a customer walking into a ODC where we'd show people working in these big whole screens. They have like
Hmm.
5 screens in their system, and they are all these very what do
Command
you call it,
centers.
matrix looking screen. Yeah, the matrix looking screens, right? White and black everywhere on the DOS.
Correct.
DOS, wow, ancient it is. And like from today basis today, where we are trying to sell so much of in terms of tech concept, if I may say.
Hmm.
So we're
Hmm.
starting with saying we'll do a point of view for you, or we do a POC, and then we'll take that, and then we'll take the next step. So the first step usually a lot of times is to position that. So I think that's a huge shift that being in IT across these years, we've seen in how we are marketing IT. I mean, how IT is changing. And I come to,
Hmm.
of course, how marketing is changing in that aspect. But then it's probably a 180-degree change.
Correct.